Greetings, this is Ma'am Siswana from JS College Standerton Campus, one of the hospitality lecturers. Today we'll be conducting a lesson from Food Preparation Level 3, Topic 3, which is the basic cakes and biscuits. So the subject outcomes that we'll be doing, the preparation methods. We've got 5 preparation methods that we use when we bake the cakes and biscuits. The first one is the creaming method, the second one, the whisking method, the third one, it is the folding method, the fourth one, it is a melting method, the fifth one, it is a rubbing in method. But for today's lesson, we will only concentrate on 3 preparation methods, which is the folding and whisking method and the creaming method. So we'll start with the biscuits, of which when we prepare the biscuits, we use the creaming method. And let's get to it. Then the first thing that we do before we conduct any practicals, we start by washing our hands. We need to make sure that we remove any bacteria that might be there. So I'm using the hand soap with hot water. Then after washing the hands, we clean the preparation area. You first need to make sure that you remove any food particles that might be there. So I will be cleaning it using the cloth with hot water and detergent. Then after cleaning the preparation area, we sanitize it. Then we'll start with the biscuits. We said the biscuits, they use the creaming method. So I've got my bowl, the balloon whisk, I've got the wooden spoon, I've got the sieve, and the rolling pin. So these are my equipments that I will be using for today's lesson. The ingredients that we'll be using, we've got icing sugar. We will use 250 mils of icing sugar, 500 mils of butter, as well as 4 cups of flour. So I will start by using the butter. So I'll cream the butter with the icing sugar. So during baking, you need to make sure that you measure the ingredients correctly. So I'll be using 250 mils of icing sugar. This is my wooden spoon. Now I'm creaming together the butter and the icing sugar until creamy, pale yellow, and fluffy. I'm still doing the creaming method, of which I'm mixing the butter and icing sugar until creamy, smooth, and fluffy. Why do we need to do the creaming method? Why do we mix them together? It's because when you cream the butter and sugar, it forms the air pockets, of which we spoke about the different types of leavening agent. We said we've got 3 types of leavening agents. Number 1 is the biological. Number 2, the chemical leavening agent, as well as the natural leavening agent. So, in this method, we are using the natural leavening agent, of which it's air. Under the natural leavening agent, we've got air and steam. So when we cream the butter and sugar together, it forms the air pockets, of which those air pockets, they act as a leavening agent during baking. So that's why it is important to make sure that you mix it thoroughly. That's why it is important to make sure that it's smooth and fluffy. So this is our mixture of butter and icing sugar. From here, we will use 5 cups of flour. So I'm going to sieve 5 cups of flour and add it in this mixture. Don't forget to sieve your dry ingredients. So this is my flour, this is my sieve. So I said we use 5 cups of flour, of which this measuring spoon is equal to 250 mils, of which 250 mils is equal to a cup. So it's cup number 1. Cup number 2. Cup number 3. Number 4. And 5. Now I'm mixing the flour and the mixture of butter and icing sugar. Don't forget that we don't have the raising agent. The raising agent that we are using here, it's air, of which we said it is a natural raising agent, of which the air is formed when we mix the butter and icing sugar, when we cream them together. That means when we make the biscuits, number 1, we mix the ingredients together. That is the butter and the sugar, then we add flour. After mixing them together, then I will transfer them into my preparation surface and use the rolling pin. This is my mixture. Now I'm transferring it on my preparation surface. So I need to make sure that the preparation surface is clean. This is my cloth. I'm cleaning the preparation area. Then after that, I'm transferring my mixture. This is my rolling pin. We are still in the rolling process. Okay, let me use flour because now it's sticking. I'll just sprinkle my rolling pin with flour to avoid the sticking. So if your dough is sticking, what do? You sprinkle the working surface with a little bit of flour and also the rolling pin. Okay, I'm still rolling my dough. So from here, I'll prepare the baking tray. Then after preparing the baking tray, I'll bake my biscuits for 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. How do I prepare my baking tray? Number one, I rinse the baking tray. Number two, I use the cloth to make it dry. Number three, it's either I use the butter to grease the baking pan in order to make sure that the biscuits doesn't stick. Or I can also use the non-stick spray. Okay, this is my baking tray. I'll be using this baking tray for baking my biscuits. What is the first thing that I will do? I will rinse the baking tray using the hot water. I've got hot water here. I rinse my tray. After rinsing my tray, I use my cloth to wipe it. Then this is my non-stick spray. I'm going to spray my baking tray with it. That's how we do it. Then from there, I've got my cookie cutter. So I'm going to shape the biscuits. which means the first thing that we did, we mixed the ingredients, which is butter, icing sugar, and flour. Then after mixing them together, I transferred the mixture into the preparation area. Then I used the rolling pin to roll my dough. After rolling my dough, now I'm going to shape it, which is shaping or cutting my cookies, which is the biscuits. Then I put them on my prepared baking tray. I'll bake my biscuits for 10 to 15 minutes at 180 degrees Celsius. So I'm still cutting my biscuits. So these are my biscuits. I'll be baking them for 10 to 15 minutes at 180 degrees Celsius. This is the remaining dough. For the meantime, I'll put it on my bowl. Don't forget to clean as you go to avoid the cross-contamination of bacteria, because the cross-contamination of bacteria might cause the food poisoning. And keeping in mind that you are using butter, and the butter, it is a high-risk food. It's a dairy product. So it is a perishable item. It gets spoiled easily. So you need to make sure that you clean. This is the final product, whereby we're using the creaming method for making the biscuits. Remember that we started by creaming the butter and icing sugar, of which we're trying to incorporate air, of which that air we use it as a raising agent. Remember that we said we've got different types of raising agents, which is number one, the biological, the chemical, and the natural, of which by the time we're making the biscuits, we're using the natural raising agent, which is air. This is one of the preparation method for making cakes and biscuits, the creaming method.